Okay, the first thing, your latest album, Sin Miedo, was recorded mostly in Spanish. Why did you choose that? And Telepatia became this huge hit all around the world, especially in the US as well. And do you think American audiences are more open-minded about songs in Spanish, songs in non-English languages?
So it just made sense for me to do it all in Spanish because I grew up bilingual. I learned to read and write Spanish before English. I've been doing music for a while, and when I first started performing at festivals and stuff, um, people used to give really negative feedback to when I was singing Spanish because I used to do covers and stuff in Spanish, and people used to laugh or leave my set. Or I see people making a little bit more of an intent to they don't mind that they don't understand the language that they're hearing the music in, which I think is really nice because when I was growing up, I always listened to music in all types of languages. I loved Brazilian music, even though I don't speak Portuguese. I never understood why the language barrier is so important to other people because I think music is something that you feel.
Colombia is going through a very difficult crisis right now. And do you keep in touch with your family there? How did it affect you?
It's definitely been a really hard week. Um, and there's only so much that anybody can really do besides support as much as we can and spread as much awareness and give as much as we can back to people who are actually um, organizing against the government right now, because that is basically what's happening. Is the government is censoring us and trying to make protesters and indigenous communities and Afro-Latin communities look like terrorists, when actually they're just people peacefully protesting for human rights. Um, so it's a very deep-rooted, because really people think that this started from the tax reform, but it really didn't start just because of the tax reform. There's so much more corruption in our country beyond the tax reform. Um, and so yeah, it's great that people are finally talking about it and it's finally being brought to the light. Latin America in general is suffering right now, all of Latin America. Venezuela has been going through it for a really long time. I know you guys are going through it, Brazil as well.
And do you feel this connection with Brazil and Colombia? A lot of your fans always say that you remind them of Brazilian girls as well.
One of my actually my very first photo that I ever posted to Twitter is a photo of me in the backyard of my old house, and I'm sitting up on a wall and I'm smoking, and it became like a thing. I noticed that all my Brazilian fans, when they would find that photo, it was from like 2014 or something, when they would find that photo, everyone would say that I was in Brazil, that it was Brazil, it was Brazil. And I was always like, why do people say that? Because I've never been to Brazil before. So I had no idea either that our countries look so similar. But some of my family members had mentioned to me how they had been to Brazil, how they loved it so much, they wanted to go back. It was so much like Colombia, and so I had heard about it. I was really excited to go because I have plans to do Lollapalooza. We were gonna go to Brazil the week that the lockdown started. So I had my flights booked and had everything planned to go tour over there. So I was so sad because I was gonna be my first time ever going to Brazil. So I really hope that I can come soon. I mean, it's horrible to know that we have those negative things in common of the corruption and and the discrimination and all of that. But it's nice to know that we have things in common besides that, culturally. Um, I find that a lot of times Mexico has a lot of things in common with Colombia as well. And I always feel very at home and very comfortable when I'm in Mexico too. So I imagine that it's going to be like that when I go to Brazil. I'm going to feel like I'm right at home.
And I know you've interacted with Pablo Vittar on Instagram, and fans went wild when they saw you interacting. So Is there maybe a collab coming? What do you know about Brazilian music? What artists do you usually listen to? Is there any song you love?
I love Pablo. I love Anita. I love anyone who represents um, that strong and proud energy, because you know, in a world that really is so unfree as it is, it's so beautiful and refreshing and and empowering to see people being themselves and um, just owning their individuality and their uniqueness. You guys have so many amazing artists from Brazil. And I'm not really planning on doing collaborations right now, but I really, if I were to do any with artists from over there, those are definitely my favorite artists from Brazil right now. Anita, Pablo.
Wow.